to Braves basketball. Time for the Boys Hollingsworth State Farm full court press. And, Becky, me and Michael, when we were talking about doing this, the one person that we talked about we were going to interview during this season sometime was you.
Uh-oh. Well, y'all know I'm living my dream. I've always wanted to be on the radio, so thank y'all for having me.
Becky, of course, is the wife of Coach Brian Middleton and the mother of Baylon.
Yes.
And we're going to get to all that in a minute, but we were talking about before we came in this morning or this afternoon that we wanted to go back. Okay, so let's go back before y'all ever came.
Okay.
Okay, so you're down at private school basically and everything.
Yes.
Take us through the process, like the thinking process, how all this worked. What made y'all decide? What brought y'all to Tisch County?
Okay, so Coach Craig Daly was my coach in high school. And when I was pregnant with Baylon, Coach Daly was at Marshall Academy, and Brian was at Oak Hill as an assistant. And the boys program at Oak Hill it was a lot like the TC program here before we got here. It was just a revolving door of coaches. And the Oak Hill girls were very, very successful, but the boys just couldn't keep somebody. And Brian was the assistant, and I think he had 4 different coaches when he was in school there. And so we were at a tournament, and I told Coach Daly, I said, if you ever have an assistant spot open, I know Brian would love the opportunity to work for you. And, I mean, we were just talking in the hospitality room,
Right.
And so that was February. Well, he called in March, and I was like 7 months pregnant. And he said, you remember what we talked about? Do you think Brian would really want to go? And, we were about to have a first baby and leave West Point where his whole family was. So we just kind of prayed about it, and Brian's parents, I don't think, liked it very much. But I had Baylon in May, and we moved to Holly Springs in June, and we thought we would be there for a while. I was actually teaching at Becky Middle School there, and we were there for a year, and Brian got to learn under Coach Daly. And then Oak Hill called back and said, we want you to come back and be our head coach. And Brian said, if I don't go back and build that program, nobody ever will. And so we went back, and we were there for 8 years. And Coach Daly called again after 8 years. And for the last 2 years that we were there, Brian coached the boys and the girls, and actually won the first girls state championship in school history there too. So, but Coach Daly called and said, I know y'all are, wanting to get in public school because there's no retirement in private school,
right.
And he said, the girls program is, needs to be rebuilt, but I know you can do that, and it's a great place to raise your family. So again, there we came. So, again, left Brian's parents a little bit devastated, but, they're here all the time.
Yeah, I think they forgive you.
So, absolutely.
I think back at the very beginning when y'all first come, I think they were some of my biggest fans because, the first part of it was kind of lean.
Yes.
And so, I know that they would always, when they would come, they'd always say, oh, we listened to you down there because, we'd gone through many years before y'all came of some, 4 and 5 win seasons.
Right.
And, I was thankful for y'all to come, and then, and then you get into where it takes a while. You got to change the culture. We had Mara on the Belmont game, and we talked about how she never made the state playoffs, but we talked about what a big part she was in helping to change the culture.
Goodness. Absolutely.
Whether it was leadership on the floor, through other players, the help of the young players. And one thing that we forgot about mentioning is the game where we played Shannon in the playoffs where Clara got punched in the head.
Yes.
And the first person to step in there to take up for her was Mara Nunley.
Absolutely.
She was ready to go. She's ready to throw down gloves, and that's just the kind of stuff that Brian had changed over the years.
Yes.
And then he built it up, and we're going to run out of time here, so we want to get to the other stuff here before we go. Right. But we wanted to see what brought y'all here, and we kind of had an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We talked about that. So we've got and you've got all that. All right. The main thing we want to bring out, it's a rare thing that you have a coach and a daughter, and
right.
Plus she's the only senior. Kind of tell us what that's like. I know Brian's tough on her. I mean, there's no doubt.
Honestly,
and we saw more of it, like when she was a freshman.
Right.
And he's hard on a lot of players. He was talking about that today about some of the freshmen he's got now. He's not hard on people unless he knows they've got a lot to give.
Yes, and them playing together, and it's been the best of times and the worst of times, I think. But Baylon has always, from the time she was, coming up, always just admired the girls on the team, and especially like Mara, took her in, and she's always kind of been the little sister. And so for her, her freshman year, she was playing with Mara and playing with Madison, and they were very, very, like, open, and they would pick her to be on their team, and so it always made her feel accepted. Well, then they graduate, and now Baylon's not the little sister on the team anymore. She's a teammate. And so her role moving from little sister of all the upperclassmen to actually being a teammate was kind of hard for her to adjust to, too. You know, like finding her own groove. But last year, right about this time, Baylon was coming home from practice crying every day because she just wanted to be a contributor. Mm-hmm. And I think she was putting more pressure on herself. She felt like she was letting Brian down. And so we sat down one night as a family, and I said, you've either got to figure this out or quit, because this is, you know, you're killing us with all the crying and just being upset. So she figured out that she had to separate Dad at home from Coach, and when Coach is getting on you at practice, that's not Dad chastising you in front of your friends. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but they decided then that, you know, this time is limited. We need to enjoy it. And, you know, last year was a storybook ending.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
And then both of us are just so proud of how she's come out this year. You know, losing so much last year, 3 major players. I had no idea that the team was going to be so successful this year, and having her be a part of that and actually, you know, look out there and she belongs.
She had one of her best games tonight.
You know, I told Brian when we talked to him at the beginning of the season, watching Baylon, the improvement that she has made from her freshman year to now.
Right.
It's like now she's figured out what I do with these long legs and long arms. She's got a very high basketball IQ. You can tell that.
And even last year, you know, she would play in positions where I'm sure other people in the stands were like, why has he got her out there? But it was because she is so smart. And, you know, now she's figured out her role. She's not trying to do too much. She's always been able to shoot the ball well, but now she's playing defense. She's rebounding. And I think that's just a confidence thing, too, of, you know, it's a senior, it's my time. But we're both super proud of her for and all the girls, really. They've just really, you know, nobody knew what to expect. I think a lot of these other teams thought we were going to be rebuilding, and we just reloaded.
Yeah. So, you know, she put a lot of crooked numbers up tonight. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about that. Across the stat bar, she was rebounding, assists, steals, points. It was something on even that block shot. So
yes.
So it was a good night stat wise.
You know, my daughter's the coach's wife, so I get and my son-in-law will say she's got the tougher job than I.
Absolutely.
Being a coach's spouse is just tough. You have to separate yourself from a lot of things. Right.
Well, and y'all notice where I sit.
Right, yeah.
So it's just safer because I know everybody's not going to agree with the decisions that he makes, and it's easier when you're winning, but you know, you can't make everybody happy, and so we're very fortunate here to have a good support system.
I have a daughter that's a coach's wife,
right?
And she says that during the game, you sit away from everybody else.
I'm right over there on those bleachers.
She said you just move away from everybody else. That way you don't cause any hard feelings. So.
Exactly.
But the other thing I was going to say is, you know, of course, Michael and I have done this for a long time, but if there is one person in this gym that is a bigger cheerleader and a bigger fan than us, it's you. And it takes a lot to beat us because we've done this for a long time. When it was really, you know, through thick and thin, we went through a lot of thin.
Right.
And so if we find another person that likes the Braves, loves the Braves, lives and dies the Braves more than us, it's you.
Well, we are glad to have the Middletons here.
Thank you so much, and thank y'all for having us and always supporting us. And I'm excited to have y'all back on the sidelines. Y'all have the best seat in the house.
It is. It's great. Until somebody runs over here and runs over.
Right.
We always have that fear every game. And it has happened to us before, but not since we bought all this new equipment, so we're trying to, you know, like the deal is I'll catch the player, he grabs the box, and then we pray.
That's right. Well, the boys got to finish this game out. It's going to be tough. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks. That's Becky Middleton in our State Farm full court press, and boy, she gave us some good information.
Absolutely.
And the game has started back, and it's 27-14. So Shannon
wish we'd have had another